The American Rescue Plan helped working people and left no one behind.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today I bring you a recap of President Biden's 2022 State of the Union address, which was yesterday, Tuesday, March 1st, right around 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, the speech was about an hour and some change, and he spoke okay as far as the way he was speaking, because we know sometimes he'll kind of like glitch up and kind of forget what he's talking about. So he did okay. He had a few weird moments where he said things like Iranian or Uranian rather than Ukrainian. But for the most part, he was able to physically speak well. Now, the content of what he said is an entirely different story. Let's start first with Ukraine. And if I kind of going out of order here, y'all please forgive me. And I might miss some things as well. If I miss anything, y'all let me know in the comments below. But Ukraine was the very beginning. And it felt like for the first, I'd say, maybe 1/4 to 1/3 of the address, it was about Ukraine and not really about the US of A. Now, I understand if you got innocent civilians over there in Ukraine who are being displaced or killed or injured, whatever the case may be. I get it. I understand. But this is a State of the Union address, which means the USA, not other countries. But anyway, he was talking about how Russia, they're bad, they're terrible for invading Ukraine, and we want to impose sanctions on them, and we want to have Ukraine be strong, and we're going to help out with NATO if they come into NATO territories, all kind of stuff, right? Trying to talk really big and tough against Russia. And he also said about Russia that we're going to take some of their, I guess, private property, talking about party boats, yachts, and we're going to attack their, their elite people and take their assets and all kind of stuff. And I think big tech's joined in on it, because I think Google Pay and Apple Pay both don't work in Russia. There's quite a few things that don't work in Russia anymore because of big tech. And, just as a side note for the whole big tech thing, this is probably why you can't really get Google and Facebook in China, because maybe they understand how powerful those companies are. So if China does anything that they don't like, China does not want them to have any kind of leverage over them. Now, I'm not saying China is a great place that loves its people. Please don't misunderstand me. But what I'm saying is they don't want to allow those companies to get a foothold into their country and then have leverage over them to bend to their political will. But different story. I digress. The whole point is that Biden talked really tough about Russia in this speech. However, the main thing that will hurt Russia is the oil. So if we're still getting Russian gas at the pump, then trying to take their party boats makes no difference, because the main source of income as far as any kind of export, as far as I know, is the oil and gas. Europe still getting Russian oil and gas. We're still getting Russian oil and gas. And to talk about that right quick, because that's kind of a good segue into inflation. Gas prices are a big part of that. I mean, if you've gone to the pump lately, man, you got to pretty much sell a kidney to fill up a tank. It's getting ridiculous. It's getting crazy. Like, the numbers just keep going up and up and up. Now, I drive a big truck, so I knew kind of what it was from the beginning as far as gas prices, but good night. I mean, I was paying like $65 to fill up from right on E, but now it's like $90. I mean, now imagine if you don't have a lot of money and you got like a regular car. You got a little four-banger and you got 20,000 miles on it, and you trying to count pennies to put gas in your tank. And you went from paying like $20 to $35 or $40. It's getting to be ridiculous. Okay. Way too much. LA gas prices are very high. And the solution that Joe Biden came up with is for companies to lower their costs rather than raising their prices. I mean, Economics 101 says it's not really possible. Okay. If the prices that they control, if the prices that they cannot control are rising, they have to rise to match it. They got to rise and match it. So if the supply chain is getting kind of ridiculous and things are going up in price, they have no choice but to raise the prices of whatever they sell. Okay. And the same thing with taxes. Joe Biden was talking about trying to have these companies pay their quote unquote fair share. And before I get into the fair share thing, The biggest lie that I've ever heard in my life was when he said, if you make below $400,000 a year, you will not see an increase in your taxes. That is the biggest lie I've ever heard in my entire natural life here on planet Earth. The biggest lie, okay? Because I don't know about y'all, but I'm getting taxed to death. I'm talking about, I'm up to here. I'm up to the top of my nose and my eyebrows and everything else in taxes. It's getting crazy. The inflation is a tax in itself, but taxes from the federales are getting to be ridiculous as well. Okay, so that was a lie. Okay, and even if he's telling the truth, inflation is a tax on everyone. Understand this: the average family paid $5,000 US more last year, all because of inflation. Not to mention what it does to the money that you have saved. Okay, if you have $10,000 saved in the bank account and inflation hits, I mean, it might be worth like $7,000 to $8,000. Biden wants to talk about how we've attacked Russia and we've crushed their ruble, their currency, and it's almost worthless, all this, that, and the third. Well, inflation is also killing our currency, quiet as kept. The dollar is losing value. The reason why the dollar has not totally collapsed is because we still kind of have it attached to oil and the U.S. military with nuclear weapons. That's really why it hasn't all the way just faded away. But the inflation is killing us. Trying to convince companies to pay more in taxes ain't going to work, because either going to just fold, go out of business, leave, go overseas, or they're going to raise prices, or all of the above. He was talking about having a global tax that a lot of countries had agreed upon. As part of the Great Reset thing, by the way, has already kind of been worked on behind the scenes. That was kind of a little peek behind the curtain, but different story, I digress. The whole point is that he's talking about a global tax, trying to enforce globalization. That's not really going to work. All you're going to have is just kind of a worldwide communism type thing. And you don't want that at all. Now, to move forward a little bit past some of the smaller things that were said in the speech, there were quite a few conservative sounding talking points in this speech. Okay. Biden says that he's for capitalism, and we know that he's not for capitalism, but he says that he is. What else did he say? He said that he wants to fund the police. That was a rich one right there, talking about, oh, we're going to give a bunch of money from the federal government and we're going to fund the police. We're going to engage in training, all this, that, and the third. The reality is that Joe Biden and his ilk have been proponents of this whole defund the police and hands up, don't shoot, and, you know, Black Lives Matter, you killing black folks with the police officers. They've been behind all that. Now, all of a sudden, that we get midterms coming around and they can see that their policies aren't very popular. Let's masquerade as kind of neoconservatives so we can kind of get some of the boomer skeptical vote back on our side. Because we lost them in 2021. In 2020, we lost them, but definitely 2021, we lost them. And right now, we're losing them as well. So let's try and salvage something. That was all that was. And then you're talking about, securing the border was the funniest thing that I saw here. He said we want to secure the border. I'm like, really? You, Joe Biden, want to secure the border? If that's the case, then I can't tell. I cannot tell. Talking about we're going to have infrared cameras. And the whole time when he was saying that, I'm like, wall, how about building the wall? The wall is already being built. All you had to do was just let it keep on going. The contract was already there. Materials are there. Money was set aside. Just let it keep on going. You stopped it. But now you want to say we want to have tighter border security. I can't tell. You done sent border agents away from the border and over to like the Middle East, Eastern Europe, close to Ukraine to help with that situation. You're not very serious. And then he got into the whole thing about the vax. And he wants to really move forward with trying to get everybody the vax if they need it. And one line to reference the wall was, there's no wall tall enough that can keep out a vaccine. So I guess the vaccine is more important than the border wall, although you say you want to have a secure border. I mean, the dumbest thing in the world, right? But anyway, then he said we're going to move forward in a country and learn to live with the virus. It's like, oh, okay, now you want to live with the virus because, again, midterms are coming up. And also, there was one detail that you probably saw if you were paying attention, and that was how nobody in the House chamber, wherever that was during the speech, was wearing a mask. Well, I don't want to say nobody. Most people there were not wearing a mask. Why, you ask? I'm glad. Great question. Glad you asked. Just recently, they rescinded the mask rule. I'm talking about like 2 days ago. Matter of fact, I was watching the news and it was Fox, and I forget who the interviewer was, but the interviewee was Jen Psaki. And the interviewer was like, hey, did you guys rescind the mask mandate for the State of the Union address for optics? Like you just did it yesterday. And I think that was yesterday when I saw that. So they're talking about Monday. And Jen Psaki was like, nah, we didn't do it Monday for the State of the Union address. We did it Friday. It's like, okay, so you rescinded the mask mandate on Friday before the Tuesday of the address. Is that a coincidence? I can't tell. It looks like you did it for optics. You know, is it about health science or political science? I think you know which one, so I'll move right along. Ultimately, this was not necessarily really a good talk. And talking about we want to have more things made in America. I was like, man, whatever. You know, the solution for inflation was not really there. A lot of political just pandering, just trying to get votes, trying to all these fake accomplishments. Oh, I've done this, I've done that. The people don't really see the accomplishments. Most people don't really care about some of the more the more politically driven geopolitics. They're worried about their dinner table, being able to eat, being able to go get gas, their job, does it pay enough? Okay, then he said something about he brought a bunch of jobs back. Well, back is the key word because a lot of those jobs had been closed down due to the bug. You didn't really create new jobs. You just allowed businesses to reopen. And then the jobs that are available, it's kind of tough to staff because you didn't put out so much monopoly money. You didn't print so much money, and now you want to print and spend some more. You want to fund this initiative and fund that initiative. You want to have free daycare, free healthcare, free education, free. At a certain point, it's not free. And at a certain point, everyone shall pay the price. And what you're going to ultimately have as I close is a more depressed economy because people cannot afford to keep paying all these taxes out of their pocket for all these so-called free things. And lastly, before I wrap it up for real, there was a response from Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds, and the content of what she said was cool, but the delivery was not really on point. It was a little kind of robotic because she was reading from a script and there was nobody really there, no kind of audience interaction. Again, the content of what she said was cool, but a little bit too dry on the delivery. But regardless of whether the delivery was dry, like, you know, Day-O, Thanksgiving turkey, doesn't really matter. It was much better than all the garbage that Joe Biden spewed last night before the entire world. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about the State of the Union address? Did you like it, not like it? Did I miss anything? Whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. That speech was not the wave. It wasn't really good. I'm not going to take no more vax, no more vax pills. I'm not doing any of that. I'm moving on in my life, and that's that. And I think that the midterms are not going to go well. This was an attempt to try and salvage the midterms, and I don't think it hit the way they thought that it would hit. Not in the least bit. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.
Many of you have been there.